folks. Welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle, folks. It is great to be back here with you on Fitness Fridays, the best day of the week. Gotta love it. And folks, as you may have noticed, and as I posted last week's episode, I have been out of town. That's why you haven't seen me live on a Fitness Friday episode in a while. And so I drove down to Louisiana on the 5th of September and didn't return until October 26th. I had a couple of delays that kept me there, but I had a wonderful trip, wonderful vacation. I'll talk more about that next time because there's certainly some leadership lessons that I can share that are certainly pertinent to all of us with relatives and family members. So I was grateful for the opportunity to be there with my parents. And so look forward to talking more about that next week, folks. But I have a lot to share on this particular episode. So I want to start out by highlighting I had another blast working this past election here in one of our Novi precincts. I had a wonderful learning opportunity because I was slated, as you all may remember, for those who've watched throughout this year. My first time working the polls was in March of this year for our primary, and then also worked the August primary as well here, statewide races, things like that. And so had an opportunity, was in Louisiana, and Courtney Hanson, who's our elections clerk here for the city of Novi, reached out to me on email and said, actually, would you be interested in serving as a precinct co-chair? And that's more leadership lessons that I'll share next week. But I had a wonderful learning opportunity because that was such a unique opportunity. Because when you talk about leadership and leading during a situation like that, where, with all due respect, people were scared. People, particularly poll workers, for a number of record-breaking first-time poll workers. So a lot of new people that were, just concerned about what could happen, or militia members going to show up, or people going to have guns. I mean, there was just a lot of concern. But we had a wonderful day. It was a great day. The only real drama that happened, and somebody actually cracked me up yesterday, and they said only Rachelle would find the silver lining in getting cursed out. So yes, I was training someone next to me on the greeting laptop, the greeting app on the laptop for when people first come in through the door, and that was my station pretty much a lot of the day. And a voter was very upset because in inside precinct locations you can't wear promotional items for any candidates, and so this particular person blew up, got upset, cursed us out, stormed out of the building, but did return adhering to what the rules were. And so, leadership's not always going to be pretty. You're going to have people that are going to get mad. You're going to have people that are upset and going to curse you out. But somebody cracked me up, like I stated, and said only Rachelle could find the silver lining in that. And I said, that's true. You know what? Because I was saying that was the first time in my life I've ever been cursed out. And it's just that's a positive thing. That's a positive thing. And if I'm standing up, doing the right thing, adhering to voting laws or whatever the case may be, if I'm adhering to policies, rules, regulations, laws, and I get cursed out, then so be it. So be it, folks. But a wonderful opportunity to lead because it was such a unique opportunity. Very high pressure situation. Obviously just what's going on in this country, and so it was just a wonderful opportunity to lead during high pressure, highly adverse, highly contentious situations where people are concerned and afraid. And so everything was great. Had a wonderful day. And so we actually received, the elections clerk, Courtney, ordered these for all of us. And so we got our own Novi face mask, which was so cute, City of Novi. But so folks, never shy away from an opportunity to lead. Never shy away from an opportunity to lead, particularly in your community, because yesterday, the election this week turned out to be such a wonderful leadership development opportunity, just even for myself, and I'm just so grateful to that. And I couldn't have anticipated, when I was in Louisiana, and I reached out and I said, of course I'll do it. Of course I'll do it. And so it was just wonderful to be asked because she reached out and said, hey, based on feedback, would like to ask you to do this. And absolutely. So don't ever be afraid to step up and lead, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we develop and evolve as leaders. And yes, I speak on leadership, write on leadership, train and all of that on leadership and leadership development. Folks, you notice I'm always taking advantage of opportunities myself to continue to learn and grow and develop my own leadership skills. So you can count on me to continue to practice what I preach. But folks, it was awesome. Had a great day. Just so grateful to that opportunity. Grateful for that opportunity. And so that is that. You're going to notice I'm going to be doing a little throwing today because I've got quite a bit to cover and want to get through all of this. And folks, and at the risk of not bearing the lead of this particular episode, and while I was driving from here in Novi to Louisiana, so September 5th, driving south on I-57. So I took a different route going there this time, which is actually my preferred route. And so I took left here going 94 to I-80 to 57, and then it was Saturday morning. It had to be about 10 o'clock, 10:30. I was in Kankakee, Illinois on I-57, heading south of Chicago. And so I was driving, and so my drive times, and this was the same thing that was true when I was in medical sales. So the drive time was a very big thinking time for me. Just think things through, ponder things, all of that. And particularly on I-57, I think that is becoming just my favorite interstate because I just reflect on my life and it's just wonderful. It is just something wonderful and all of that when I'm passing through Illinois, thinking about how excited I was, moving to Chicago and all of that. But I was back to the story, back to my example here. So going south on I-57. So the question was, the $64,000 question was, what am I going to do about my gym membership? What am I going to do about my gym membership? Because of course I was on my way to Louisiana. I had already, the news had already reported that gyms were going to be opening that following week. Now, of course I knew I was going to be out of town, but I had a Black Card membership, Planet Fitness, and so that enabled me to go to different locations, and would have been true, obviously, for the Shreveport locations, Shreveport and Bossier City locations there. And so I was sitting there thinking, and I was driving, and I said, because I bought so much stuff for Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, I've got more to show you here today, and I just knew, although this is, you've heard me say this in previous episodes, when I started at the beginning of the year, my plan, how often do our plans, veer off course? And that's why we have to be adaptable and flexible, and most importantly, open to what happens in life, and then how we may have to go in a different course in a different direction. So my plan at the beginning of the year was going to have 2 different gym memberships, Planet Fitness and either the Edge Fitness, LA Fitness, or Schoolcraft College. So one of those 3, I was going to partner those 2, and that was going to be that. And so my plan had shifted, and I thought, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center has been just such an eye-opening experience, working out at home, buying all of this stuff, making my fitness a reality here at home, despite, gym closures for COVID and things like that. In 2021, in May of 2021, May 17th, in fact, that will be year 27, my 27th year of fitness. And so not doing anything was not an option. So you can go back to various Fitness Ready episodes throughout this year, earlier this year during the pandemic, and you'll see how my own thinking evolved around that. And so it really came down to that big question of what am I going to do? Because all of a sudden, one of those gym memberships I planned to have had essentially, in my mind, the question was, am I going to have 1 gym membership or 2 in addition to Rachelle's Home Fitness Center? And so actually the potential of having 2 gym memberships, one of those was replaced with Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. When you think about just from a weather standpoint, when it's snowing outside, and I've shared on previous episodes just how eye-opening it has been for me from that standpoint, is Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. People feel differently, obviously, and we're all entitled to our opinions, but for me personally, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, as I have learned this year, is my insurance policy for my fitness journey. It is here. It is always open. It is what it is. It is just I make stuff happen. No excuses, any of that. And so whether it's weather or anything else, that's the COVID pandemic that we're dealing with, which I rightfully agree, we want to save lives and all of that. And so it's always there. It is always there. And it's just been so eye-opening, and without this pandemic, I would have never learned this valuable lesson. And so, yes, that is absolutely Rachelle's Home Fitness Center is two-part equation. A in the equation is Rachelle's Home Fitness Center plus B, and B is a gym or a fitness facility, which my next fitness season is going to be a hybrid with Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, as well as a gym or fitness facility. And so I'm planning now with a split, probably a three-day home, 3-day gym, or 4 and 2. So I haven't worked that out yet, but just in the spirit of transparency, that's what it is. So I'm driving on I-57 south of Kankakee, and I'm saying, what am I going to do about this situation? And then, bam, popped in my head. Guess what, Rachelle? Ding, 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 ding. You're going to practice what you preach as a leader, particularly in the fitness arena where you talked about this for years. And you're going to do the same thing you would tell somebody else to do in this situation. You are going to cancel your membership. You're going to cancel your membership because you're in a situation where you're not going to be using a gym for a while. Because you're going to be now at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, and when I'm in Shreveport, Oscar and Willette's Home Fitness Center, coupled with their outdoor, because the weather is certainly more outdoor friendly. So outdoor fitness this time, outdoor fitness, walking, running, power walking and running, driveway fitness, backyard fitness. It was quite an adventure, but I'll share more about that also on a different episode. But so that's what it was. So I knew, and I said, you know what? And my biggest pet peeve in fitness, and this is something, and I haven't shared it just to transparently share, just my biggest pet peeve in fitness is people having memberships that they don't use. People that just having memberships that they don't use. And so that's something that I've told people over the years. You can take that money, donate it to charity, do something else with it, save it, invest it, whatever the case may be. You can do that. You have that option. And so for me personally, it's just a matter of, okay, I've said that on Fitness Fridays, how I feel about that concept over the years. Personally, you can ask me and I will tell you that. And I've had this conversation with people over the years too. It's just, you know what? You're not using that membership. Take that money and invest it. Donate it. Give it to a family member. Put it in someone's college fund. Whatever the case may be. There's a lot of people struggling now with COVID. In terms of COVID relief fund financially. To donate it. Do something. If that's what you want to do. And so that's where I was. I was like, yeah, you're going to do the same thing you tell anyone else to. You're going to maintain your credibility as a leader and your integrity. You're going to practice what you preach. You're going to get to Shreveport. You're going to cancel your membership. And that's it. That's it. And so, yes, folks. And so this is just my confirmation, my membership cancellation from Planet Fitness. And I'm going to talk more. This is actually, I had to send a certified letter and all of that. And it occurred to me, I was running one morning after I'd already canceled, and I said, you know what? Instead of spending a lot of time talking about this on this episode, because I've got more to cover, like this haul of new items I have for Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, I'm going to do an episode before the end of the year discussing membership cancellations, like the do's and don'ts. Of course, I'm no 100% expert, but I'm going to share my experiences, talk about some do's and don'ts, and a lot of my thinking, and I've shared this on a number of episodes, is I've known over the years a lot of attorneys, and my thinking is certainly had some legal shaping. I don't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney, but it is my thinking from that standpoint is in terms of handling situations and contracts and things like that. Very, very, very. You have to be careful what you say. You can't leave any ambiguity. When you're doing a cancellation. So we're going to spend a whole episode before the end of the year talking about that. Some do's and don'ts. Things like paying a membership in advance versus giving your banking information, like what to do and all of that. So we're going to talk more about that. But yes, folks, I'm no longer, so as of September 22nd, this was a confirmation that I received from Planet. So, just a drama-free, positive cancellation experience, and that's what I want to share. I've had some good cancellation experiences over the years, and this is a big problem for our industry. It's a big problem for a lot of people that have a lot of problems with membership cancellations, and then the subsequent billing after that. And so I just want to share my thoughts on that issue transparently, so you will see what my thoughts are, and certainly some thoughts on suggestions that I have for do's and don'ts when signing up and canceling memberships and all of that. There's certainly some learning that that I have over almost 27 years that I want to share, different gyms, different types of gyms in different states. I want to share that with you. But it was certainly it wasn't a yay experience, because Planet was good to me. I had a wonderful experience. I had a lot of positive, wonderfully learning experiences. I mean, how can you not be a member of Planet, particularly with a role like mine and what I do, and learn a lot. That membership taught me a lot. And if there's one thing, I'm always approaching situations, opportunities, experiences, asking, what can I learn from this? I mean, you probably have all figured that. Rachelle the scholar is always trying to figure out, how can I learn from this? How can this make me a better leader? How can this make me a better person? Can it not, And so Planet was very good to me, appreciated me, valued my membership. And so I cannot say enough good things about Planet. When I joined initially at the Novi location, and the manager was Nate Lucier, and then transferred to the Commerce, Michigan location, which I call the Commerce Country Club location of Planet Fitness, and the manager Cody Hunt both did wonderful jobs. Excellent managers, had a wonderful experience in both locations. And so, I mean, and having the opportunity, yes, and going to Shreveport and in the Sutherland Group locations there, very strong, also appreciated me as well. So I have a lot of good things to say about Planet Fitness. And also, lastly, certainly, having the opportunity to be a member of Planet that is owned by my particular location, the several locations here in Metro Detroit, by the PF Michigan Group, are just doing an excellent job from a leadership perspective, and just high visibility and influence in the state. Just a remarkable response in their handling from a leadership perspective and a highly visible standpoint, highly visible and just from a leadership standpoint, just how they have publicly responded to COVID and the adversity, and just the leadership, and just really trying to take the bull by the horns and pull different entities across the fitness landscape here in Michigan together. And I've shared a lot of that this summer earlier during the pandemic, and some of the great things that they're doing, and just so much advertising and marketing that's really, in many respects, carried a lot of the fitness entities, other fitness industry, competitive fitness entities across the state of Michigan. They do so much from a marketing standpoint. And so just a wonderful experience, and I'm just grateful to have certainly had the opportunity to have been a member of a facility of theirs, and having visited a number of their facilities, and just I learned a lot from that. So there's nothing but good things that I have to say about Planet, about my experience as a Planet member, and just from a leadership perspective, learning from the experience of being a member under that particular, one of the largest franchise groups in the nation. And so there's nothing but lessons that have certainly made me a better person, a better professional, and have shaped me for the next fitness season. And this fitness season that I'm now in is all at home. It is just totally, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. Certainly my season was planned to be, continued gym, but now, as life happens to us, we've got to be flexible, we've got to be adaptable. Right now for this current season, I'm all about, set this over here now, I need my hands free. I'm all about home fitness for right now, and in the spirit of full transparency, as I stated earlier in this episode, my next fitness season is going to be a hybrid between home and gym. And to be fully transparent, I'm always going to be open and honest in this type of situation. The heavy favorite in terms of my next gym that I will be joining will be the Edge Fitness Clubs of Farmington Hills. So I've reached out to corporate. Actually, when I was in Louisiana running one morning, reached out to corporate because they had planned to have a Northville location, which actually would have been closer to me. And got some clarification on that, and have learned, and it's been publicly announced at the time when I reached out to their corporate. Sent a couple of emails. It hadn't been announced that location, they were essentially pulling the plug on that location. And so I was out running one morning in Shreveport outside and thinking, which of the two locations, which one would I join? And so would it be possible if I start off joining the Planet Fitness, would I be able to transfer that membership over to the Northville location, and if they open up at some point? But the Planet, the Edge Club there in Northville, they pull the plug on that. And so Farmington Hills, and they have other locations that are very, very far away from me, so I wouldn't be going to any of those clubs. So it's a matter of, I just want to join one location. And so one location where I'll be able to transfer it, so that's off the table now. And so the Farmington Hills Club is about 10 miles from me, which is equidistant to where I was going to the Planet Fitness in Commerce Township. So same drive time. The Northville location would have been about 5 miles from me, 5.5 miles from me. And so that's that. So just want to be fully transparent. I've reached out to get clarification on that. I have the clarification because when I make a decision, I want to have, I want to know as much as I can about the situation and where things are going and where things stand. And from LA Fitness, this is perspective, in the month of September. Don't have time to go into that right now, but probably talk about it next week on the leadership episode. LA Fitness has filed for bankruptcy. And so that's the situation of that. So that's a very fluid situation, and that's the same has been happening to different chains across the industry. So it's a very challenging time. But even prior to all of that, back for months now, I could definitely honestly say that Edge Fitness has been a very heavy favorite, for the next season of my fitness journey. And so I want to share with you a few things that I actually have here. Let me start off here. And so when you talk about, and when you think about this, kind of one of Rachelle's life philosophy tips here, is whatever the case, when I'm thinking about a goal or something moving forward, so I'm always looking forward in life. Yes, the past is important. A lot of great lessons learned in the past, but I'm thinking next steps, next season of fitness journey, in this particular instance on Fitness Friday. So I'm thinking about always preparing for what's next, thinking about what's next, preparing for what's next. So now we're at the beginning of the year, I plan to have 2 gym memberships at this point in the year, and now I have no gym memberships at the beginning of here in this particular month of November. And so I know that gyms are not totally out of the equation. They absolutely will be. And my anchor, and I realize this, the coronavirus, the Rona has shown me from a fitness facility standpoint, Precor EFX is an absolute minimum. And we're going to talk more about that when I talk about membership. I'm going to talk about canceling memberships and knowing kind of when is when and this and that. So for me, and I know now that this is something beginning of the year I probably would have never thought I would have ever said. But if I've got to leave Rachelle's Home Fitness Center and work out in a facility, Precor EFX is a bare minimum from a cardio machine standpoint. Yes, and there's an example of Edge. Yeah, there's icing on the cake in terms of the Octane LX, and they've also got Precor AMT, two additional favorites of mine, in addition to rowers and the traditional recumbent bikes or treadmills, things like that. But an absolute bare minimum for me is a Precor EFX in a fitness center, certainly that I'm belonging, that I'm a member of. And so that's ultimately what it came down to, and just moving forward in years, the end of years 26 through 27, I already know that I'm again from a membership perspective, gotta have that Precor, gotta have that Precor EFX for me. And if you listen to me in enough episodes, I've been saying that forever. So there should certainly be no surprises there. How I feel about Precor EFX and how important it is, and how it's my favorite machine, my mainstay in fitness facilities from 2000 to 2017. And so I've been reunited with it, on a sporadic basis, I talked about in last week's episode, at different hotels. And speaking of anchor, and speaking of, customer loyalty and retention, I have learned, Hampton Inns, and I hadn't stayed at a Hampton Inns since childhood. It's been a long time since I stayed at a Hampton Inn. But I now know that Precor has a very strong market penetration in the Hampton Inns across the country. And so I know now, when I'm traveling in different areas, I'm looking for a Hampton Inn because I already know my EFX is going to be there. And so I did that, when I would travel, as I talked about last week, October of 2018, I said, okay, how can I get my feel and my just reuniting with Precor EFX, despite not having it, in my gyms, and when I was a member of Planet. And so when I would travel, go to different hotels, yes, and it was able to reunite with it. So my reuniting with Precor EFX has been, like I said, I kept it in front of me. There's no Okay, I don't have access to a Precor EFX in my gym, or my gyms here, Planets here in this Metro Detroit area or Shreveport, Bossier City area. But guess what? There's let me be creative and think of different ways that I can access my machine, which I was able to do, and so was able to get my feel for it. But I cannot wait, folks, for the next season of my fitness journey when I have a permanent reunion, and even that's still going to be the case. So I'm still going to be looking for it in hotels as well, even though I'll be having it again on a permanent basis as part of my gym membership. And so back to my haul now. So for those of you, for anyone who knew me at Powerhouse, you know I had a similar shirt to this, but this was purple, but it had Go, Geaux, Tigers on it. So I wore that shirt for years, and you can see I actually, and TJ Maxx has the best shirts like this. And so actually got 2 of these from TJ Maxx because, again, keeping the goal I have in front of me. And these shirts are very, for me personally, again, I'm not telling you to go get stuff at TJ Maxx, I'm just telling you what I do. But these shirts for me, because I'm a very heavy cardio user, and I know that one thing that's certainly one of the biggest strengths, and I've stated this in a number of episodes with Planet, was those fast moving fans that they have. But I know that most gyms, that's just not the same reality. And so I'm gonna be sweating more, and so I'm already getting ready for the next phase of my fitness journey, my reuniting with my gyms, with my gym. And so I've got a couple of these shirts. I'm going to be looking for more. Got my mom staking out, checking out TJ Maxx. So please find different shirts like this. I need them very thin, very lightweight, because Rachelle is going to be back to sweating again heavily, because I have a very cardio intense workout, and I cross train and do things like that. So wanted to show that. Also, in terms of having my key, and so I've got my lanyard. This was my old one. Some people who knew me at Powerhouse and certainly Planet will remember my lanyard. Would have this on for my key, my car key. And so this super old one, I guess I've had this one 4 or 5 years, and now has been replaced with this beautiful baby. So yeah, I got my lanyards for my keys ready to go. And want to start talking now about some of the fitness items that some fitness haul that I have now. And jump rope. So for those who don't know, I'm a very big fan, big proponent of interval training. And so, at Powerhouse, I used to bring a lot of my own stuff, and such as, oh goodness, I have to get this all apart. See, I had it just landed straight across. And so for those who knew me at Powerhouse, you may remember seeing got so much. I told you I had a lot to show today and a lot to share. And so you may remember my hefty Gold's Gym branded jump rope that I remember got this from Walmart. I want to say maybe 2014, 2015. And it is too long. It is too long. I'm very particular about my jump ropes because, again, I'm interval training, so my speed is very, very high. My intensity is high. And so one thing for anyone who would see me is that I would do this. I would shorten it by doing this, wrapping it around my fingers to make it shorter. Because if it's too long, it's going to kill the speed, because it slows you down when it's too long. And so I'm proud to report, folks, let me throw this in. When I was in Louisiana, I actually went on Amazon and bought, and it was a set of 2 for $5.99. And I can't remember the brand, but you'll see it. Again, not endorsing this product, just telling you what I've done. So got a set of 2 speed ropes, incredible price, $5.99. And so this is these were adjustable. So I've already cut them. So I watched the video. I watched the video on YouTube on how to cut jump ropes and how to adjust them and things like that. So this has been phenomenal. I left the other one in Shreveport because I've got some items that I'm continuing to buy and leave down there too. So I'll just have all of my items there as well as here for my fitness while in town visiting there. But this has been phenomenal. So think about that. A problem that I dealt with for a very long time, I solved while I was in Louisiana. And so think about that. Do what you got to do to make it work. So I'm just so pleased that I have my speed rope now. It's appropriate in terms of the length, not too long for me. And so back to Five Below. I've talked about Five Below. This is not a Five Below commercial, but I'm telling you because I've gotten a number of items from there during this pandemic. But I was a loyalist back since 2015, since we got our Novi location here. It's just a very hidden secret in terms of fitness items. And I got some mini bands there as well. So for my stretching, all of that, and I have this receipt on here to remind myself that I got this from Shreveport. Because when I was in Cape Girardeau, you saw that Hampton Inn episode I did from the fitness room. They had a Five Below there, and they had dumbbells. So I actually got dumbbells and left them in Shreveport because they're very hard to find, very, very hard to find. And so got some dumbbells there. When I was there earlier this summer, I got some of my dad's old dumbbells. So I have those here, but I left those dumbbells I bought down there. So Cape Girardeau, Missouri had plenty of dumbbells. And so folks, not telling one to have to drive to Missouri to get anything, but I'm just saying when you look outside of the common path, look off the beaten path, you'll be surprised at what you can find. So this came from Shreveport. Got some another Five Below item, ankle and wrist weights. So got those. And I believe if I remember correctly, yes, these are purple. So got some purple. Everything in Louisiana, it's easy to find purple things because of LSU. Another thing I wanted to share, early on during the pandemic, you'll recall I made a trip to Walmart, and I'm not going to pick them all up, but I was able to get the last 4 of these plates, and because everyone had rushed and bought out everything, and you'll recall from an earlier episode, all they had was 2.5, so a total of 10 pounds of these plates. And so remember I said on a particular episode when I was discussing that haul, I said, well, it's better than nothing. You gotta have some humility. I was grateful to get them. And so I had been using it, on my old baton. I remember I twirled baton at Powerhouse. And so I used my old, I had them all 4 of them on my baton. And so I would use it that way. And so I wanted to share with you all that another purchase in Shreveport, they had the dumbbell handles where you're able to put them in, and then when the interest of time want to go through all of that, so want to be able to move this stuff quickly. But here we are months later, Shreveport actually had, and obviously I've got dumbbells already, but still folks, I mean, you may have struggled to find things earlier this year. Now the supply chain is really, really catching up, and we're veering into what is typically heavy fitness season anyway, in terms of people joining gym memberships or joining gyms, getting memberships, as well as purchasing home fitness items. So had to share. It took months, folks. It took months. But here it is. Here's an example. That's why you got to keep the goal in front of you. Don't give up. Keep on keeping on. And you'll recall earlier, actually, a couple of months ago, I shared with you an episode where an anonymous neighbor had put in my driveway a set of 2 bar stools. I don't know who it was, didn't leave a note, whatever, this and that. So they left me 2 bar stools, and I shared on that particular episode where I showed them to you how one of them had been, I placed a tower fan, so the temperature in Rachelle's home fitness center, it's been wonderful, and of course now the weather's cooling down, so it's not even necessary to have a fan in there anymore. But I also put some tower lights, floor lamps on there that have enabled me to balance out the lighting in the garage, and it's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But in addition to those 2 bar stools, that person X, Mr. and Miss Anonymous person that gifted me those items, they also left me a pack of unopened floor mats, and so exercise mats. And so these were extremely hard to find earlier this year throughout the summer. And so I was so excited to get that pack. It's newly unopened. So I've been really putting these to good use, but I wanted to let you know that the Five Below in Shreveport, Louisiana, was able to get 4 more of these. You can see it's a different style, but they're the same size. And so I was very, very pleased. Very, very pleased. And so again, folks, you may have struggled early on finding things. You may have given up. So don't give up. We've all got to be patient. We've all got to just be understanding that, particularly earlier this year, a lot of people were caught off guard in terms of fitness manufacturers, home fitness manufacturers, and all of that were caught off guard. And now things are really, really catching up. So I'm so pleased, so pleased. So now I have even more exercise mats, folks. And lastly, for my fitness haul, don't want to knock over my router here. Let me move this over. I got a Pilates bar from Amazon. So, and I brought the box up here because I didn't want to forget it. So, I got this from Amazon. So it's a Pilates bar, but it's marketed as a portable Pilates studio. And you can see that it's on. So the directions on it just fell. I already had it assembled, and so process of putting in that box, it unassembled. So this is what a Pilates bar looks like. And so it's got the straps. When you get into all of that, I mean, you can YouTube Pilates studio, Pilates bar, but earlier this season was not available on Amazon. And so you can find these cores, these different items in all different types of places, but just a wonderful asset for me personally in terms of my stretching. And so that's it, folks. That's it. Just wanted to share with you a few items that I have. The latest purchases for Rachelle's Home Fitness Center continues to rock, continues to roll. And so that's that. And I want to close this episode out as I talked about that decision when I was on I-57 of how I feel about having gym memberships that you're not using. I was a perfect example of that. It's one thing, when facilities were closed and that kind of stuff, but when I've got to make the decision about, gyms are now open and I'm not going to be using this membership, I just could not do it because that's just something I just firmly believe in and not doing. And I think also part of that stems from my personality. I tend to be an all or nothing type of person. But I wanted to close this episode out to recognize that not only do I feel that way in terms of having memberships and that you're not using, that doesn't just apply to fitness, as I realized the day I got back from Louisiana, that just applies across the board. And so let me quickly share with you as I close this episode out. So, when I was in Louisiana, and I drove down there in June and came back in July, so fast forward, July 21st, joined Costco. And earlier this year, you'll recall, I shared with you and I actually had a muffin in my hand. I volunteered, helped out a church here in Novi, not my own church, it was another church here in the community. Volunteered, helped them with some things in their church on a Friday. I want to say it was the first Friday and Saturday in the month of March. So the week before the corona, really, the shutdowns and things started happening. So helped that church, and one of the leaders, I ended up getting a box of 6 almond poppy seed muffins. And I asked, the following week, thanks Rachelle, whatever, would you like some muffins? Absolutely. I didn't know what kind it was. We were socially distancing, so I lifted my trunk, put them in my trunk, and I got home, folks, and I saw that those were almond poppy seed muffins, and I said, you have got to be kidding me. And they're my favorite type of muffins. It is hard to find almond poppy seed. And for any fans of poppy seed muffins, you notice how easy it is to find lemon poppy seed muffins, and I'm not really a fan of those almond poppy seed. Having those muffins, particularly that first muffin that day after I got them, took me back to when I lived in Miami and I was when I was getting my first graduate degree and I was poor and that was such a treat for me. That was such a treat for me to buy the Otis Spunkmeyer. In the back of the day, they sold them almond poppy seed muffins, and I used to love to have those after, I would eat chicken a lot because it was cheap and all of this and that, but just those almond poppy seeds, those are my favorite muffins. And I was so excited to hear, where did you get these muffins? Oh, Costco sells them. And so I was so excited. And so when I came back and I said, because obviously a few months later, I joined Costco. With all due respect, people love Costco. They got millions and millions and millions and millions of members, and that's a wonderful thing. But joined Costco and bought my own poppy seed muffins that day on July 21st. And we fast forward. I get back to Louisiana, I get back to here to Novi, October 26th. So the next morning, one of my first stops of the morning running errands, went to Costco in Commerce Township, and was looking around the bakery section. There are 10 minutes after 10. Where are the almond poppy seed muffins? I don't see any almond poppy seed muffins. What's going on here? Something happened? Are they out of, do they need to bake some more? What's up? So I walk over to the bakery counter. Man, a young guy comes over and says, may I help you, ma'am? And I said, I've been looking for those almond poppy seed muffins. Can you tell me what's going on? Are you guys need to bake some more? What's happening? And he told me the bad news. Ma'am, those are seasonal. Those are seasonal. Those will not be coming back until the spring. We have swapped those out for the time being with pumpkin muffins. And I was thinking, I mean, it was just such a sad moment because I was thinking like, oh no, they no longer have those muffins. You know, that was my sole reason. I mean, there's a marketing lesson in this, big time. My sole reason for joining Costco was those muffins. People kind of laugh when they hear that, but that was it. Those muffins, they were very near and dear to my heart because folks, they're extremely hard to find, nearly impossible to find. And you mean to tell me, and I thought at the time I can just go to Costco and buy them whenever I want? Very, 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 very sentimental value, and they were just awesome. They tasted wonderful. And so, got the news, and because the number one reason I joined Costco was no longer there. I had to make that the decision. So I'm walking away. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the update. Yeah, we'll be bringing those back sometime in the spring. And so when we think about any type of memberships that we have, we have to ask ourselves. People often say, Rachelle, you're one of the happiest, most positive people I've ever met in my life, and there's reasons for that, and that's because there's always a series of decisions that I'm making that reinforce my happiness, my commitment to being happy, and one of those is not having this mindset of walking around wishing something were different when I have the ability to make that situation different. And so in this particular instance, I don't want to be sitting around in the month of November saying, oh, I sure wish Costco had those muffins. And now, again, there's a geographical thing I should point out. It's quite possible that a Costco in Dallas may have those. But pumpkin, as I've learned living in Michigan, pumpkin is very big during this time of year and through the holidays and all of that. Because when I'm walking around looking for a sweet potato pie, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. And whereas in Louisiana, there's sweet potato pies, even now, I mean, just year round, just a very big southern treat. So up here, it's all a lot about pumpkin, whereas down there, it's just a very different things, different taste palettes and seasonality and all of that. So, but I didn't want to be in a situation where I'm sitting here saying, oh, I sure wish I could get some muffins. Looks like I'll have to wait until April. Or looks like perhaps maybe next time I'm in Shreveport, I can drive to Dallas to get some of those muffins. And people do that kind of stuff all the time. That is a wonderful thing. If that works for that person, that is great. You do whatever you have to do. But I'm just saying from my own experience, my own life philosophy, I don't do that because I don't like to complain. I'm not a complainer. And so for me in that situation, I had to say, you know what? So you got to make a decision. You're going to have this membership where you're just not going to step foot in here because I had a 14-year membership at Sam's Club. Yes, those muffins were important enough for me. My membership lapsed on my birthday in September. And I said, hey, okay, well, it's going to be all about Costco for a while. Bam. But then now those muffins, my only reason for joining, in my mind, for me personally, because again, I'm not buying a whole lot of stuff in bulk and all of this and that, the only competitive advantage for me personally as a customer with Costco was those muffins. Because there's Sam's got all this other stuff as well and all this and that, and plus they had a 14-year history with me, and so membership history that I have with them. So, which they didn't have those muffins, and yet again, can't be sitting around a member of Sam's saying, I sure wish they had those members, wish they had those muffins like Costco. Maybe I can talk to the baker and tell them they needed, that's one thing if you feel strongly about something and you're willing to advocate and all of this and that. But for me, I don't walk around always trying to change people and change situations. There's market dynamics, there's sales, there's revenues, the calculations in terms of what products are offered and all of this and that. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, certainly that I'm aware of, and just know from a business standpoint, they're not going to have something on the shelves. It's just not going to sell. So if tastes and palates change here during the fall months and during the winter months for Costco and those muffins, just as an example, then there's a very solid business reason and case of why they do what they do, is what I'm saying. So I'm not going to sit around wishing something were different, complaining, doing this and that. No. I respect them. I respect respect their product offering, I respect their decisions, and that was that. And so what I did in that moment, I said, okay, my anchor's gone. So I'm not gonna sit here for the next several months wishing I could have those muffins and whatever this and that. Okay, I'm not gonna have the muffins. I don't wanna be in a situation where I'm just gonna, let me wait a few months to get the muffins and then let me stock up then. And so I always have them and they get freezer burned and I have to throw them away. But this is just me personally. I'm just sharing my thoughts personally. So I went right back to that counter where I had joined on July 21st, talked to the same lady, CJ, and said, I'm going to cancel my membership. Okay, yes, no problem, whatever. But then there's always the reason. And she's typing in, exactly, and I told her verbatim. I was told by the bakery department that your almond poppy seed muffins are seasonal. Bam. And she was shocked. Yeah, she was absolutely shocked. Like, really? And I said, yeah. And then I just explained the backstory. Yeah, those were important to me. Those are my favorite muffins. You have no idea what the sentimental value is of those muffins to me. And I was getting my graduate degree, and it was just such a season of adversity in my life. And those muffins were such a treat, and they're just delicious, So no disrespect. And I told her, no disrespect. People love Costco. People just swear by Costco, and that's a wonderful thing. But for me personally, it didn't work out. Why? Because I was not going to have a membership that I was not using for months out of the year. My anchor for being a member was gone. And the same thing was true with my Planet Fitness membership. I mean, in the absence of pre-core EFX, on a potentially, whenever I wanted to, I was going to say daily, but I'm going to do a hybrid at home. But I realized that from an anchor standpoint, any gym membership that I have, any gym that does not have pre-core EFX, there's no anchor. I mean, my membership is always going to be vulnerable. And I have such clarity around that right now. And I didn't want to be in a situation where, in 2018, Planet did open up from a vendor standpoint. So there are gyms that do have pre-core and all of this and that. But I didn't want to sit around waiting for somebody to get a pre-core EFX. I'm wishing and let me contact somebody to see if they'll get them. I mean, that's fine. But folks, I'm a consultant. I mean, if I'm making those type of suggestions, that to me is consulting. Because I'm telling you things and I'm making suggestions that are going to impact your bottom line, and particularly from a market segmentation standpoint, you got to realize, particularly your advanced exercisers, they're going to be looking for different things. And in this season now, with hyper competitive in the fitness industry and in all industries, your product offerings and what you have in those facilities is going to be more important now than ever, because people are being very discerning and choosing between home fitness, even having gym memberships or things like that. So it was I had a wonderful experience there. I think I was in Costco a total of 3 times while I was a member, but I promptly left that location there, Planet Fitness, and renewed my Sam's Club membership because from an anchor standpoint, you're talking about a 14-year history. You're talking about, I have always just such great admiration and respect for Sam Walton and his founding, and just being a little girl and going to my first Walmart. There's just, the same thing with Walmart. People have tried for years. You got to go to different stores, and I do if I need different things. But in terms of getting me to stop shopping at Walmart, totally not happening. Just not happening at all. Not happening. And so for those who choose not to shop at Walmart, I respect you. That is a wonderful thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, for me personally, there's just so much sentimental value and history and loyalty for me in Walmart, and obviously Sam's is an extension of that. But I learned from that experience. This gave me even greater clarity around, from a retention, from a customer loyalty standpoint. What is the anchors that keep me somewhere, or that cause me to walk? Because Sam's been good to me for years, but those muffins, folks, just like a fitness facility. If you've been watching me long enough, you know how strongly I feel about pre-core EFX. I love pre-core EFX. It was my favorite machine for 17 years straight. So I realize now, from an anchoring, from a loyalty standpoint, member retention standpoint, if a gym cannot offer me that, there's just, there's just no hope for membership. I realize that with clarity now, because that machine is just, I love that machine. It's always great to be back on that machine. And it is just so important to me. And all the other machines, the Octane LX, Pre-Core AMT, there's different machines that are certainly enhancements to that, but I like to be challenged personally, professionally. I'm always one that likes a challenge. And that's one thing I appreciate about Pre-Core EFX, being in a cross-training elliptical, Pre-Core AMT. It's as well as the Octane, the lateral trainers. I like to be challenged. You see me in a gym, you see me in any type of situation. I like to be challenged. And so Pure EFX is just very, very near and dear to me from a fitness standpoint. And so just recognize, and I'm just trying to give you another example here with my membership. So went back to Sam's, rejoined Sam's, and everything is great again. Everything is great again. And so recognize, people are making very discerning, people are discerning now what they want, what's the most important from a fitness facility standpoint. Perhaps you're in that situation right now where you're making those decisions. Just think about what is important to you. Folks, life is too short. If that's one thing the Rona has taught us, life is not promised to us, reminded us actually, we all know this, but life is not promised to us, tomorrow is not promised to us, so that's why we have to be committed, to be happy, to make decisions to reinforce that happiness, to live our best lives now. Don't sit around complaining, being negative, being Debbie Downer or negative Ned. Make decisions now that are going to reinforce your happiness. And that's truly when you think about me and just why I'm so happy and so positive, because I'm always making decisions that reinforce that. Because I told you earlier this year, this is just part of my life philosophy. I can be a victor or a victim. And being a victim is not an option. So I've got to be a victor. You know, am I always going to be successful in everything and not have any adversity or any of that? No, I'm human just like everybody else. But one of my strengths personally is overcoming adversity, dealing with and managing adversity, and with a good attitude, with a positive attitude. But that's because I'm always looking for the good in situations, looking for the silver linings, looking for opportunities to learn, grow, and develop. And I challenge you to do the same, folks. So this has been a power-packed episode. I am glad to be back here with you, and I look forward to next week. It's going to be a leadership lesson series, and you just stay tuned for it. But until then, folks, always remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, leadership, and success. Make it a